Okay, we are here to talk about Silo, Apple TV, Season 3, Episode 6, The Drive, written by Sal Caleros and directed by Ulrich Riley. In Silo 18, Juliet tells Lucas, Walker, Knox, Shirley, and others about what she remembers about Silo 17 blocking their safeguard pipes. They come up with a plan to send two people to Silo 17 to see how they did that so they can duplicate it in Silo 18. Juliet gets permission from the algorithm under the idea that they're going to rescue children who are still alive over there. Camille and the algorithm only agree to let Lucas, Kyle, and Patrick Kennedy go as they secretly plan for those two to die. Billings tells Hank about the critical supply problem and enlists his help to help unravel the mystery and then cover some strange video footage of Glenda Harwood. As Juliet goes to prepare Lucas and Patrick for the trip, Camille informs the algorithm that the vitamin D memory suppression drug has been released into the silo's water supply so that everyone will forget Juliet. In the before times, Daniel and Helen remain locked in the van that has been taken over. Daniel learns about Helen covering up for a source, which led to her being fired by the Washington Post. At the end of the episode, they're escorted by police to an airplane hangar where they're greeted by Senator Thurman, who asks them if they want to help, quote, save the world. We were talking before we got on here about how I've kind of been sitting with this episode for 8 days or so. The question I want to ask is, did anything actually happen in this episode? I
Not
mean, I am
really.
thinking a lot about Daniel and Helen, but did anything actually happen here?
No, not really. Not
Okay.
not 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 a lot. I mean, yes, actually. I mean, well, are we talking about the before times or the silo? Because in the silo, I think there is at least one huge thing that happens, but then it kind of raises more worries in me than fun speculative thoughts. We'll get there. Let's start with the
Yeah.
before time stuff because I think there in
Yeah.
particular, it kind of feel like, oh, well, again,
This
nothing
is
really
two
happens.
episodes in a row that Daniel and Helen have done nothing. Literally
Pretty
nothing.
much.
Yeah.
Pretty much, right? I mean, it's like last week it was they're in the car, we give just a brief scene. Oh no, the car's been hijacked by AI or whatever, and that's it.
Yeah.
This week, I mean, at least I enjoyed in terms of the flow of the show and how it felt. I enjoyed that we did get the back and forth, but mostly we're not really getting much other than these scenes of Daniel and Helen in the car.
Yeah.
We get her explaining what led to these accusations of fraud or whatever,
Hmm.
um, that she was actually covering for a source. And
Yeah.
when it came down to it, felt like the only way she could do that would be to say, well, no, I just made that fake name up. That's not, none of that's real or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
Which, how much does that matter? You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like I think I believe her, fine. I think I believe her, but even there, it's like, well, so what? I mean, um, because I guess what I meant there is, if anything, it would serve to deepen her character and to say something like, oh, well, she's the kind of person who would sacrifice her career to protect a source.
Yeah.
If we believe her, which I guess we believe her, I want
Yeah.
to believe her, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? But it's like we're watching a TV show that makes us question everything, and nothing can fully escape that for me.
Yeah.
So,
It just for me, it's going back to again after two episodes out of six of them not progressing, being not us not learning much. We're certainly left with a cliffhanger here of what this means from Senator Thurman at the end. But I think this is just another advantage of having having read some of this material and realizing how much cool stuff there is in the second book and this storyline in particular, and they're just doing none of it. Um,
hmm.
I, it leads me to believe that they're just going to be. It seems like unless they just really start picking up the pace these next four episodes, they're going to stretch that story throughout the third season or throughout the fourth season as well. I mean, that just seems to me like what has to happen because there's so much cool stuff that connects the two timelines. I'm just curious what they're going to do.
Maybe so. I don't know. Again, I
Yeah.
haven't read the books at all. If people are worried about this who are listening, Ryan has read, but not there are three books, right? So you haven't read the third book
Yes.
at all.
I've just started the third book, but have not made any real progress in it yet.
Okay. So, but regardless, Ryan's not allowed to give spoilers from the books. I don't know what happens in the books. All right. So you're safe if you're like me and you want to take the TV show on its own terms. But we know the books exist, and yeah, I wonder about that because it seems like either it's going to be a matter of doing what you said, and they're kind of going to drag things out, which I don't
Yeah.
know if, um, like, is there before time stuff in the third book,
So
or is it
that's
just,
what I have yet to learn, and that's I
yeah,
think the tipping point is to I'm going to I do not know. I've not
yeah,
seen or read any of that, so I'm going to speculate that there is not.
yeah,
And so if there's not, um, I
then
mean
probably,
they
yeah.
can hurry up and do some things and then sort of merge stuff if need be for the last season. But I frankly just I can't answer that.
Hmm. All right, yeah. Anyway, enough book talk. This podcast for people who haven't read the books. All
That's
right.
right. That's right.
Um, but I am curious about how far that story will proceed because, in particular, because these past two episodes, as we've said, there's not that much that's happened. Well, the other possibility would be that in the home stretch of the season here, in episodes 7, 8, 9, and 10, maybe that's going to kind of take over in terms of
Yeah.
runtime because it's in contrast, kind of feeling like when it comes to the stuff in the silo, I don't know how much more there is to do this season. Just,
Yeah.
I mean, it would be speculating about where they're thinking of the end point, you know? But I've been right about that in the first two seasons.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, as we were talking about season two, I remember saying, like, but it's not going to come to a head till the end of the season.
Yeah.
um, so,
But do you think like will they spend time with Lucas and Patrick, making their journey over to 18? Is this a show that can
I hope
deviate
so.
from the two things that we're doing and go that direction for substantial amounts of time? Like, leave Rebecca Ferguson and the rest of the group behind and do that? I mean, I kind of hope we see that, but
I hope so.
I'm
Yeah.
not sure, especially if we get some more solo and all of that.
I hope so. Yeah. Well, let's get a little bit more concrete here with questions. I guess before we move to the silo in more detail, the one big question with regard to the before time stuff, I think, is, what does she mean,
Yeah.
Senator
Yeah.
Thurman, at the end when she says, "Do you want to help me save the world?" I mean, previously they'd been kind of threatened slash bribe offered.
Yeah.
That's not the right way to put that. Regardless, we see the same guy there, Reed Birney's character, who again is in the cast list as Henry. We still haven't even got his name in the show itself. So I guess putting that together, it feels to me like they're saying, "Oh, well, we tried to get these people to shut up through bribes slash threats. They've continued to look into it, so now we're on to the next step, which is going to be to stop or silence them through some kind of move that we're going to present along the lines of bringing them in
Yeah.
to the plan or the conspiracy." That did resonate for me a bit with how the algorithm behaves in the silo in this episode, which I feel like is just pure manipulation.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
Um,
right.
so,
Yeah,
but
no,
that's about all we
listen,
get.
you took the words right out of my mouth. This is exactly what I was going to say is because they won't give it up, because they won't rest and will continue to dig into this. Okay, well, let's sort of appeal to a sense of altruism or try to motivate them in a different way that, oh, actually, what you're going to find is going to help us save the world. So, we're going to bring you in. And, even though what they're doing, I have a hard time believing is going to save the world, we're going to convince them that they are. And so, hey, come be part of the team.
Yeah, so like if I had to speculate about what happens moving forward here, and I'm sure I'll probably be wrong, but if I had to speculate, having not read the books at all, it would be along the lines of this is just working on the information that I have, right? It would be along the lines of them revealing the plan about the silos in order to save humanity in case of the catastrophe of, nuclear war or whatever, that ultimately ends up with Daniel and Helen and her Pez dispenser in Silo 18 at the end of the story because they've been tricked.
Yeah, 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 yeah. No,
But I don't know.
that's a very fair assumption, and there are lots of paths that could, lead to sort of where we are now, in Juliet's time. But inevitably, I mean, it's not a big leap to presume that what they're about to be brought into has to do with why the silos even exist. I don't think
Yeah.
that's there's that seems pretty clear that we're going to look into that these next 3 or 4 episodes.
Yeah. And look, actually, to be clear, the biggest hesitation I would have of fully endorsing the kind of quote theory that I just put forward is, I think Helen's a little too savvy for that.
Hmm.
I don't know. I like Helen. I don't think Ellen would be easily tricked and manipulated in that way. So we'll
Yeah,
see
yeah.
exactly where it goes. But yeah, not a lot there. Pivoting to what happens in Silo 18. Yeah, so in some ways this doesn't move forward a lot. Either Juliet kind of gives herself up to Camille to protect everyone else. That was how I read that.
Mm-hmm.
Insists that she wants to talk to the algorithm, although she doesn't have the term or the name. And somehow that works. Somehow she's allowed to. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm just going to accept this, but just to note, it was like not that long ago that Camille's plan was to kill her.
Yeah.
I understand that you can't just necessarily kill her in plain sight or whatever, but I don't know.
It does seem odd in retrospect now that Camille was going to, instead of just, oh, we'll just wipe everybody's memory with the vitamin D, and so there, we'll take care of the problem that way. I'm just going to have somebody go and inject her with something and she's just going to die. Maybe she was then going to also do the vitamin D. But yeah, it just seems like an odd plan in hindsight.
I mean, I feel like Camille's plan was to be able to say Mayor Nichols, who for some reason was down in the mines when we were trying to fumigate them,
Yeah, yeah,
died from the rat poison.
yeah,
And that got undermined
yeah,
by her escape, aided by Nurse Amy, and so on and so forth. But this isn't quite articulated by
yeah,
Camille at any point, or when she's talking the algorithm or any of that. The shift of the plan to say somehow we can't do that anymore. Although I mean, I guess we pull on earlier conversations, we can piece that together. There was a point earlier in the season when the algorithm said something like Juliet's a threat, but if we simply eliminate her, it could be catastrophic.
right, right.
And then when the rat poison thing gave this, opportunity, they've lost that opportunity now. I think that's how we have to read it from their perspective.
That's right. Yeah,
So, okay, fine. Um, but she has relayed the information about the safeguard, and they piece this together with what Lucas found in season 2, which was this
hmm
diagram. And there are two lines coming into the silo. And Bernard says, "Oh, well, that one line that goes to IT is a power line." And I
yeah,
did think this was noteworthy
yes,
because he mentioned Silo 1 again. And now we already knew that when the power went out, IT didn't lose power.
yes,
But so I guess the new information, if anything's new here, is with the mention of Silo 1 again, that there is this silo that's kind of stands apart from the others. I'm reading it and will provide IT in each of them at least with power,
yeah.
regardless of what happens. So Silo One is not like the other silos.
Yeah, that I thought was a very interesting way to exposit that is the case, right? That we're
Yeah,
now, that's providing this lifeline essentially for IT. And so they want, no matter what, for IT to be able to maintain if even if something were to happen in silo, or even if something, is done to the silo. And so yeah, this idea that silo one is unique in some capacity, why that is, I think we'll continue to explore that. But that yes, they are the ones directly connected to probably each IT in each silo.
yeah, I think so. Right, and putting this together with a couple other things that Bernard said in season 2. At one point, I believe he did mention to Lucas there are actually 51 silos. So now
Hmm.
I'm thinking
Yeah.
like he keeps sailing silo 1, but is it maybe like maybe does it maybe truly not have a number? You know what I
It's the
mean?
silo prime or whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. That's not super significant, but what was the other thing now? Oops. Something else Bernard said at one point. Uh eh, oh well, maybe I'll think of it later. Just some calling back to the end of season 2 when he says to Juliet, he says, "I know who, but I don't know why."
Yeah.
I'm curious how far does that who go? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like when Bernard says he knows who, Does he just mean he knows that it's Silo 1?
The one. Yeah.
Because, my question goes a little bit further than that, Bernard, um, in terms of who set up the silos and everything else.
Yeah.
But it is helpful that Bernard's still around to at least give these little nuggets of information
Ti-
that they can
Tim
drop in.
Robbins has got that raspy voice going. He's got it working.
Yeah, I'm not annoyed with it yet. I worry that I might get annoyed with this raspy voice at some point. I don't know
Yeah.
that it's ever going to get better, because he's been so seriously injured. Um, but. So the plan that they hatch, let's talk about this a little bit more because I don't know if we're interpreting it in exactly the same way from what you said in your summary. I'm not claiming that I'm right and you're wrong or anything, but maybe there's more of a question here than I thought.
Okay.
They've determined that the other line coming into the silo must be for the safeguard, right? This is where they would pump in the poison to kill everyone. It comes into judicial.
Right.
Um, what Juliet doesn't remember is how to plug it up or
Right.
whatever, right? So with this plan to send people to Silo 17, of course, she's telling the algorithm it's in order to bring these children, but that's a cover story, and
Right.
she doesn't even mention Solo. Um, what are they actually trying to do? Is it to go to Silo 17 to compare, or I'm wondering if actually they want to somehow go the full mile here in terms of um, those who are being sent outside disabling the safeguard from outside the silo.
Oh, interesting. Okay, because my read on it was like Juliet was informed by Solo that there was something that could be done and was done.
Yeah.
Um, And so, but there, they didn't go through the details or the plans of how to do it, where to do it, what's the mechanism by which to make it happen. And so Lucas and Patrick have to go over there and figure out how to duplicate this and bring it back so that we can make sure that it never happens to Silo 18. But I didn't even think about sort of the way you're reading it. That's interesting.
I mean, I don't think we're told explicitly, really, and it
Yeah,
would it would make like what you say makes enough sense. Where, it's like I think in Silo 17 they did manage to disable it from inside the silo, I
yeah,
think. But at the same time, if we know that it comes from a pipe outside,
yeah.
then it would be more straightforward if you could identify where that pipe is and seal it from the outside while you're out there.
See, I thought that they were just
Um,
so far underground that you couldn't access it. Do I have that wrong?
I don't know, maybe I don't know. I don't know the answer to
Yeah,
this. I'm just thinking about, well, what exactly is their plan and where are we going to go with this? Are they going to go to Silo 17? Like, are we going to see Steve Zahn
yeah,
in this season? I don't know that we know if we're going to see those characters in this season.
yeah, yeah,
Um, I don't think they were been explicitly put out there in the cast list, but you know, sometimes shows hold that
yeah.
close to the vest on purpose. You know what I mean? Um, so
And
yeah,
we should be clear, you and I have not watched ahead, so we don't know if Steve Zahn or others are showing up in this season.
indeed, yeah, we don't know any better than people who are watching it as it airs on Apple TV. We do have screeners,
Yeah.
and they're like actually anyway. No, that's boring. I'm about to like go more inside baseball, and then people don't care. Um, But yeah, so what are they going to do? And this is coming to a head in a way where, all right, so Juliet wants to send Knox and Shirley.
Hmm.
We'll have to circle back and talk about them a little bit more in a moment.
Yep.
But both Camille and the algorithm says no, they're too important to the silo, but agree to send Lucas and Patrick Kennedy. Although they're also like, you know where they are? Because these guys are fugitives.
Yeah, bring him to me and show me.
So that seems like kind of a risky move already from Juliet's side. Um, the algorithm only says, well, if they are sent out, like, don't worry, Camille, there's no way they're going to make it to Silo 17. Um, so there's that level of question here too. Will they somehow survive in order to be able to do what they're trying to do? Will they have the good tape from supply? Will that be sufficient?
Yeah, yeah,
And the other question I want to feed in here is another like pulling back on something from season 2. which was this point where Solo had this kind of suspicious wording, if you recall this, when he says something like, and then the dust came, when he's talking about the rebellion in Silo 17.
Okay.
It's stuck in my, I remember we talked about it at the time, but we haven't got anything to connect to that, except maybe we are sort of now. But this is one of those things that makes me continually kind of speculate or theorize that maybe the outside world at large is basically okay. No, it's not safe right outside the silos,
Yeah.
but that might be intentional, right? That they're pumping the poison into that whole area. And then the safeguard's a matter of pumping that poison beyond the outside into the silo, but that it would be
Yeah.
like the same kind of stuff that we're talking about. Because if you don't recall the comment, it's like Solo's saying something about the rebellion in Silo 17, and he makes it sound like they got outside and it seemed fine for a minute, and
Yeah.
then the dust
And
came.
then the dust came. Yeah. Sort to the point of, those that go out and clean, um, they are clearly dying because of what is what they experience immediately after they go out. But we don't know if they were to escape some sort of perimeter from the silos, would that also be the case? We just don't, we have no knowledge of outside the perimeter of the silos.
Yeah, that's interesting too, right? Like maybe part of the whole procedure with the cleaning is that they pump the poison out only during the cleaning.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, so curious what we might learn about that. I mean, just in terms of the narrative, I have to guess that Lucas and Patrick actually leave the silo,
I would think so. I mean,
even if they die. I mean, it's like
even if they die, it seems like there would really be a sort of propulsive mission for them to try to do or succeed and try to bring back some information or, either a success or failure. And that would really push some story forward if they were able to do that again, even if they die while doing it. And so I, I think you're right. It's just interesting. I don't think we've had a little bit, I guess, of POV Lucas Kyle throughout this series. None really of Patrick, but sort of just send them out on a long mission. Made sense when Juliet did it.
yeah,
I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how they do that.
yeah. I mean, of course, maybe in terms of the runtime, it's not that long, as it were, right? I
Yeah.
mean, that's the thing. You
Yeah.
can do a lot in a short amount of time, potentially, if you want to. Um, the other big thing that's happening in the silo, which you did mention, I believe,
Hmm.
is that Camille has decided to release the vitamin D plus, and it definitely seems like that's happening. Uh,
I believe she says it happened 2 hours ago.
well, I mean, she
And
thinks
so
it happened.
how do you unring that bell? That's my question going forward.
This is the thing where I really don't know what the show's going to do with this because it made sense to me to have it hanging out there as
Hmm.
this possibility, what is it, sword of whatever, that might fall. But like, if you're going to do it, well, man, you can't have, narratively speaking, you can't have everyone in the silo losing their memory.
Exactly. Exactly.
And it's okay, fair enough. So we did have Sim saying something indicating that it would be less severe than what we saw with Juliet. But still, I mean, that feels super risky if you go down
Yeah.
this path of making everyone kind of foggy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that could go wrong in television terms so easily.
And
It could just seem stupid and cheesy or something.
how will anyone besides Camille know this, right? That it has happened, unless she says it to someone else who leaks it to someone on Juliet's team. It's like if we're going to go on a mission to stop this, or okay, whatever, it's in the filtration system and it's about to be distributed to the silo. We have to go shut that thing down. How do they learn this information? Camille's not going to disclose it, so I'm just very curious where they take
Yeah.
that.
Now, here's what we do know from previous seasons. I think we can say we know they've done this before in this
Hmm.
island. But beyond that, there have been murmurs about that idea that they've done
Yeah.
this before, and um, there's been like this kind of almost cult in the silo that has a name I can't remember. Do you remember it had like some kind of cheesy name like the
Oh.
Memory Keepers or something?
Yeah,
This was
yeah, yeah,
like
yeah. Okay.
late season one, I think. Um, we can double check that later maybe, but this is all I've got to go on is that there's been that underground kind of group
Mm-hmm.
of like we're the keepers of the flame who believe, you know, like is there any chance that the water filtration plant guy is one of those people? That's the only thing that I'd have to hang on is if somehow, although Camille thinks she's done it, that plan has been stymied by the workers at the water filtration plant.
But how far does the knowledge even go of what vitamin D is and what its intended use is? Like if she just says, "Well, this is our, monthly supply of vitamins going in the water, do it." Like, do people even know what the vitamin D is used for?
Yeah, I mean, I think that you've made it, I think you've put a point on how they probably could have been subtler here.
Yeah.
Because I don't think they're quite that subtle, you know. I think that they've been explicit about saying like this is the special vitamin D plus, you know.
Right. Right.
Um, so yeah, and do they really know what it is? Again, that's all I can pull to or point to is how there are those in the silo, and we know this, the show has told us this, there are those who believe that memory suppressing drugs have been put into the water supply before.
Right. Right.
And so like if somehow those people manage to control the actual mechanism of doing it,
Yeah.
then that would be an out that I
Yes.
could see fitting with the story. Um, on the other hand, if it is going through with it, as it were, then I'm really not sure what's going to happen um, in this story. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Because it would seem like if everyone is losing their memory to a sufficient degree to quote solve the problem from the algorithm's perspective, then that would just seem to undermine everything we've got going on in the narrative right now.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So it's going to be reversed, or she has misled the algorithm, or something is going to happen. I feel confident in that.
Yeah. Um, Hope so. We'll see. Curious about where they go. It's hard for me to even speculate in anything like a fun way about that. It just seems like,
Yeah.
well, if what they tell us is true, I have no idea in a way that where I'm worried about it narratively, and so then I don't think that's what's going to happen. But then what? The best I've got is that idea of the whatever memory keepers or whatever
Yes.
stymies the
Yeah.
plan. But then the other parts of the narrative too, right? If everyone forgets that Orla Kent was murdered, then the murder mystery would fall apart. That progresses a little bit in this episode. They go to see his name's Mark,
Yeah.
and
I like Mark a lot. I like that character.
do you?
Yeah, I
That's
do like
good.
that character a
I think I
lot.
put this line in my recap, just like, as you're writing, and sometimes things just flow. And for some reason, I described him as everyone's favorite minor character.
There you go. All right.
That's funny. That's funny that you draw. Anyway, he relays the information that about Knox's father being a thief, and Knox hates his father, and you have all that kind of stuff. Turns out Knox's father is dead. I don't know if or how that stuff's going to matter. But
Yeah.
then the weird thing is how Hank and Billings see Glenda Harwood on the surveillance footage. They manage to get into the room that's not supposed to exist.
Yep.
Outside the mine and then back in supply in like this period of time that shouldn't make any sense. Which the only way, my only speculation there would be there's some secret tunnel between the mines and supply.
Yeah. Yeah. I really had very little in terms of theorizing what could be the case there, other than what you're saying there. I'm not sure how that
Yeah.
can, how you can circle that up, but they it, it remains interesting that they spend a decent amount of time on this story and how it must at some point going to connect back to what Juliet's group is doing. I can only imagine that's going to be the case.
Or it's just another important plot where,
Yeah.
it could be like Juliet and Lucas and Patrick had all succeed. They disable the safeguard. No, that's not a problem anymore. And then
Yeah.
they learn we're going to run out of supplies in 2 years. You know what I mean? Like, and that's the new
That's true.
problem.
That's next season's problem. Yeah.
Yeah. But we'll see. I don't have a lot to go on here either in terms of speculating about who's been stealing from critical supply or who killed
Yeah.
Orla Kent. all I can say is I feel like it's not Glenda Harwood, but that's only because it seems like it would be too obvious.
Yeah, you just
So
showed
like,
us. Yeah,
so like maybe it is. Maybe it is. Maybe it's just going to be
yeah,
that straightforward, but just it's almost from a perspective of I've seen enough television to question this. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
right.
But I don't have like someone else that I'm suspicious of or anything really. The other thing here that I do think we need to talk about is the fact that Shirley is pregnant.
Yes, yeah.
I cannot say that I'm terribly invested in her relationship with Knox. What about you?
I don't think they have done enough there. I think I think I'm invested in Juliet's relationship with Mechanical and how
Yeah.
that has manifested itself and how they have come to grow up together. But yeah, just their relationship in particular. I mean, it's like, is this a major revelation, and what does it mean? Other than just we have to keep you safe. I don't know what it adds, I guess.
Yeah, good. Because I felt similarly, and then as I was thinking about it more, I realized no, there's something else here to
Yeah,
think about in terms of why this is happening. Um, which is that we should recall that this TV series started with a couple who was trying to become pregnant,
correct.
whose efforts were thwarted by the powers that be in the silo.
Yes, that's right. That is true. Yeah, pregnancy means something a lot more than just,
Yeah.
in any other show, I guess, in terms of the environment in which they are living.
Well, this is what I started thinking about is that it remains an open question, to
Yeah,
me at least, why? You know what I mean? Like, why is it that the order or the pact or whatever, I guess it would be the order because I think it's like a little bit secretive. Or no, whatever. I think it's everyone knows you have to get permission to have a kid. I think that's the
correct.
case. Everyone does not know that they lie to some people about it. But
Yeah,
regardless, what's going on with that whole thing? You know what I mean?
yeah,
Because it seems like we got enough information, and this might have been, again, primarily in season one, to call into question any idea of it really kind of just being based on what's the word I want? Like scarcity of resources, right? Because you
hmm
could see okay, we're going to be living in this silo. We can't have too many people in relation to the resources that we have, and that, why that would lead rationally to some degree of
yeah,
population control, right? But I think we got enough information back in season one to undermine the idea that it was just that.
yeah,
And they seem to be making more explicit decisions about what kind of people they're going to let have kids that some kind of secret eugenics kind of things going on here. So
yeah. Yeah, and we're only left to presume that Shirley and Knox were allowed to have, they got their inhibitor removed. They were allowed to have a kid, which, we have to look at how that jives with the type of people they were allowing to have kids, or they were telling them they were allowing to have kids earlier in the series.
yeah.
I don't know where they will go with this, and if the pregnancy ultimately matters or means something substantial going forward. Um,
Um, so I mean, yeah, I think so. I guess the thing that I wanted um to say here in the podcast about it is on the first pass, all this stuff, it did just kind of within the episode strike me as like, oh, well, Knox is worried about Shirley because Shirley's pregnant, and it's almost like this
yeah.
trope or whatever. So I think it's worth remembering that no, in this story, it is more significant than that. Did they get permission? Or,
hmm
like maybe this is an illicit pregnancy.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, then hiding the pregnancy has deeper stakes than it would in like our everyday reality and
Yeah.
so
Did
on,
they figure
right?
out a
So
way to remove the inhibitor somehow? And this is as secretive as you said.
yeah, we don't know. I mean, certainly we
Yeah.
didn't see them like going to the doctor as a couple and petitioning to have a child or whatever,
Right.
as we did see with the characters back at the beginning of the show, Rashida
Correct.
Jones's character and her husband. But I
Correct.
don't remember either of their names off the top of my head. I apologize. I have to look it up. The characters' names. Um, but okay, I mean, I think that we hit on pretty much everything here. Anything else you want to talk about before we wrap up?
I think I'm good. I just hope we get particularly the next two episodes, hope we get some substantial more before times movement here.
Yeah, me too. Um, we'll see. It is my hope that almost, well, I don't know if I want to say that, but if the next few episodes spend more time in that narrative
Yeah.
and less time in the Silo 18 narrative, I won't be unhappy.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So,
It's an important aspect to the story. We need to get moving that direction.
yeah. And I mean, they've done a good enough job too. I guess part of what relates to that comment I just made is they've done a good enough job at making me care about Daniel and Ellen at this
Right,
point,
exactly.
because it'd be very easy for those characters be introduced in this way and for us to be sitting here every time they go to the before times going like,
Yeah,
get back to the
why?
people we care about
Yeah,
already.
yeah, exactly.
And it doesn't feel like that. I actually care about Daniel and Ellen. So we got that going for us. All right, so we'll leave it there. Thanks always for listening. Hopefully you enjoyed the podcast. If so, please do leave a good rating, review, all that good stuff. If you're on YouTube, hit the thumbs up, subscribe to our YouTube channel. We greatly appreciate it. Be sure to check out tvobsessive.com, where you can find written work on all sorts of TV shows, past and present. I'm writing on Silo right now. If you want to read my recaps, in addition to listen to the podcast, Ryan's writing on House of Dragon, which wraps up next week.
Finale, yeah.
Um, I've been writing on sugar. If you want to read my sugar recaps, and there's all kinds of other stuff we've got going on. It's actually been a really busy summer, and hopefully we'll carry that forward into the fall. Regardless, as for the podcast, we're going to keep talking about Silo. We'll be back with you next week.
All right, looking forward to that, and we'll see you then.